really looking forward to this episode today, everybody, because one of our favourite human beings has decided to, well, I say decided, we kind of strong-armed him into going like, can you please run our podcast to pinch the movement in? The wonderful, the one and only Jeff Mask. And I don't feel like I can do a very good job at the introduction because we just love you so much that can you tell everybody a bit more about you? Because I will do an awful job at it.
My pleasure. Thank you first for having me. I'm so excited to be with you. This has been several weeks in the making, and so I've been excited. I'd say first and foremost, I'm an average human being with an above average desire to help people. And that really is who I am at the core. More importantly, husband of 25 years, which is a big deal. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today, of why that's a big deal and how it's a miracle that we're still madly in love, which is great. With 4/5 kids, meaning one of my kids was married last year. And so now we have a bonus kid and she's amazing. Best daughter-in-law ever. And I love being a husband and father. That's really who I am. And then what I get to do to support that why is I get to play in business and coach CEOs around the world to help them be the best versions of themselves and build the best businesses that they have. In essence, confidently build their business without losing their soul or their priorities or their sanity or all the stuff that happens when we grow businesses. And I get to do that with both public and private companies, venture-backed companies, bootstrap companies across multiple industries and multiple continents, because I love patterns. I don't focus on one niche. I know that's kind of contrary to what some people would say, but given the niche that I have is humans, and all businesses are run by people. And whether it's in automotive or education or finance or marketing or technology, they're all run by people. So I get to work with the hearts and minds of leaders of those companies to help them be epic. So that's me. And on the side, I love to surf. And whenever I say that, people don't know what I'm saying. Surf in the ocean, like on a surfboard. I was just last week, I got to surf more times than I have all year. I surfed 4 different times and I was just so happy. I love to surf. So that was really fun. So that's me. Happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. I feel like you missed out one essential skill here that you didn't tell everybody about.
My first entrepreneurial journey. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. In addition, yes, this is real and I'm not kidding. I make balloon animals.
For a second, I was thinking, what's missing?
Balloon animals.
Oh, I knew
We've
exactly.
seen you make balloon animals. He is like, oh my God, skilled isn't the word. Never seen anyone do something so quickly and produce an animal. It's amazing.
It's fun. It was fun. As a 16-year-old, I needed to earn money to take girls on dates and fill the car with petrol. And so that was my way, and I did it well.
I love that.
I like it. I like it. See, now we've just lowered the tone. So we're going to start off this place.
Of all the big accolades you've got, like the balloon animal one is the one that
favourite one
we've latched onto.
I definitely should have started with that.
Do you know what? I love how you actually answered that question initially, though, of the desire to help people, like an average human being with an above average desire. I like that so much. I think it's something that I think Vicky and I can really resonate with, because it's what inspired us to actually create this podcast in the first place, and to create Canine Business Academy and help all of the amazing dog professionals out there feel more confident in their ability to be a business owner, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see that human connection bit, because you are our mentor's mentor, right? And you can just see that through and through. Like it's that human bit, which for us is so huge, because the human beings that we're dealing with. And I think sometimes in every industry, it's hard to remember that there's a human being attached to every outcome, because we're all obviously about dogs and stuff, but there's a human attached to every dog. And the way we look at it is that you're in the business of humans, not dogs. The dogs are the byproduct. get the human bit right, and then the dog bit is just beautifully working off the
I
back
love
of it.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. That is well said and very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I like how you've just put it there and going, actually, the dog is the byproduct of what we're helping the humans do. And if you kind of spin that into how you look at it from the business is the byproduct of you
Yeah.
as an individual and how you look after yourself and and everything around you. And I think a lot of us go into business potentially with like blinkers on and going,
Yeah.
oh, it's actually easier than we think it is. Or maybe our expectations are out from the off. And we were having conversations recently actually about how I think it's such a noisy place out there, and there's so many messaging like landing on our shoulders and in our eyes all the time of you could be earning like 50K months by working 1 day a week. And there you are on a beach with a cocktail going, yay, I've done it.
Right.
And we actually, I don't know how that's achievable personally. I'd love to know. But I think we kind of forget that, or are just genuinely not aware. There's a lot of graft that has to go in the background, which can take from you mentally, physically, relationships, and everything. And I'm sure you've got like a million stories from all of your coaching experience.
I do. So many. And my own experience of running businesses and just learning how challenging it can be to build a successful business. And we could go for hours on what does a successful business mean, but I digress. So build a successful business while also creating a great, successful home life simultaneously. That is the art. And so often I find that people are binary. They think it's either or. It's I either will grow a great business knowing that my home life will sacrifice and suffer, or I say, nothing's more important than my home life. And so I'll have a great home life knowing that my business won't really grow the way that I'd like it to be. And I settle. And it doesn't have to be either or. The genius is, how do I do and? How can I be great as a business leader and owner and build a profitable business that supports my life and a wonderful home life where I feel balanced, where I feel at peace, where I feel like I'm building meaningful, lasting relationships. It doesn't have to be either or, but often we get in that trap because it's really tough to figure out how to do both. And frankly, it's why I do what I do, because I've seen too many business owners get stuck in that binary trap and convince themselves that it's either or, and it's not. There's ways to work through that.
So where do you even start to help somebody in that? So if they have swung from one to the other, maybe they've just gone in going like, it's all about the business and everything is like just looking really ropey on the family front and life is kind of falling apart a little bit. Like, how do you even start to help somebody rebuild that?
First, can I just comment on ropey? Love it. The British culture is my favorite. And when I hear the new words in the
you
slang,
wait and see what else comes out of our mouths.
I love it. So good. So you're right. More often than not, if someone's going to be imbalanced, it's in favor of the business and not at home, because for a few reasons. The business is what fuels our livelihood, and ultimately we try to start the business to support our personal lives. And then you get wrapped in the stress and the difficulty of it, how hard it is, and you get sucked in. And you tell yourself, I'll just do this for the next year, or I'll be heads down for 3 years. And then when I come up for air, then it'll be okay, or whatever, right? So we tell ourselves that. So how do you begin that process to help someone? First, what I do is I purposely choose clients that actually do want a healthy home life. There are some business owners that when they're really honest, they don't. They don't. They don't care. I don't select them as clients. And I do quite a bit of due diligence up front where we both kind of ask questions. There's a questionnaire, and so once the client is in that place of I do want a home life, then I can answer your question. So I first ask them, where are they on that focus of what's important to them with building a profitable business and having a healthy home life. And I get honest with them, and I really push the honesty and actually extract the honesty out of them. Because often we tell ourselves something. We said, yeah, I really want a great business and a great home life. And then I say, great, let's check your diary. Does your diary actually manifest that desire? Because we say we want something, but if you look at your diary, your actions do not align with your words. So I make sure that, first of all, I'm clear on their desire. Then secondly, I look at what their words and their actions are actually saying and how aligned we are. I call it a say-do ratio. And if the say-do ratio is 1-to-1, good. So meaning I say this, then I also do this, great. But often most human beings say-do ratios are way out of whack. We say this, but about 1 times out of 3, 4, we actually do it. And the more integrous we can be, and the more integrity with ourselves, the more aligned we are with the 1-to-1 say-do ratio. So I just right away quickly figure out that gap. And then once I figure out the gap, then we go into what is holding us back. Almost always, what holds us back from actually doing what we say we'll do as far as balancing a great business and home life is fear. It all comes down to fear, masked in all sorts of different packages and flavors and lenses. But it's fear of not being enough, fear of failure, fear of just not being able to provide the value you'd like, going out of business, like all sorts of things. But we are often as humans run by our fears. And it's so deep and so subconscious, we don't even realize it. That's why having a great mentor, a great coach can help extract that and then help people see themselves more clearly. So that was a long answer, but that's kind of the beginning stages of what I do to help people figure out how do I do this? How do I get to a place of working on both versus being binary in my thinking?
Well, I'm going to give you a little story about my experience of what not to do when it comes to this, because a couple of years ago when I first got immersed in all this cultish world that we call it of business and personal development and growth, which I'd never, ever entered into before. And the business started kind of skyrocketing quite differently. And it was a very different type of business to the dog training business that we had before. And my technique of, my husband is a business owner as well. He's got his own garage and has that kind of entrepreneurial way about him, but not to the extent that I was now learning all these new ideas and strategies and kind of all this personal development stuff. So I was like, he's got to come with me on this journey, because I felt like I was pulling way away from him, if that makes sense. So like our distance was getting great, and we're really close as a couple, like really tight. We always have been. And so like, because I felt like I was moving away from him, I was like trying to pull him with me, go like, come with me, come learn all this stuff, come be around these people. And he was like, no, I don't want that. I don't understand it. Like, I've tried to tell you these things in the past and you've not listened. All of a sudden, this mentor is telling you this thing and you're doing it. And he felt really offended that I wasn't listening to him. And it got quite difficult for a while, actually, and I wasn't sure how to deal with it. Nobody had warned me about any of this, by the way. And so I was just, all I could do was just go like, oh, you'd love this. Like, come here and absorb this information. And we had a big rift about it, like to the point where it was like a bit dodgy for a while. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to come out of this. And then, I don't know, just through conversations and a bit of help in like with our mentors and stuff, I realized that actually I can't take him with me. He's not ready to learn it yet. And he's not ready to come on that journey with me. And by me accepting that, and this might be the answer, I don't know, but me accepting it and just backing off, taking the pressure off and just going like, that's where he is. This is where I am. And I need to accept that he's not going to come along on that journey with me just yet. But really interestingly, the more I've backed off, the more he's now intrigued by it all and wants to know more and kind of asks me things and actually has modelled a little bit of our stuff. And I've gone like,
has it?
Yes. Yeah. But it's really interesting because it's that pressure bit, isn't it? Of me wanting him to come along with me so much and enjoy it. And I want him to be part of everything I'm doing. And in doing that, it pushed him further away.
Yeah, definitely. This is a funny analogy, but it's the same thing. Did you ever watch the movie Hitch with Will Smith?
Yes.
Does that ring a bell?
Maybe.
He's the dating doctor, and he's helping men learn how to attract a woman without being super over the top and overbearing. And he's teaching the character Alfred how to go in for a kiss. And he says, "Here's what you do: you go in, but you don't go all the way. You've got to give her that space to be able to make a choice. If you go too far, you're overbearing." And so he teaches and just says, go here and then just stay there. Let the tension be there and let her come to you. It's the same analogy. And we as humans, when we get pushed too far, we counter that and we say, don't tell me what to do and don't force your will on me. Let me make a choice. And you did that. So it's a great movie, by the way. And it's a great line. It's a great principle of psychology of understanding that about human beings. Let people make choice. Make the path clear, of course, but let them come toward you, whatever that is, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in a business partnership, whether that's in a transaction with a new client, whatever. That when you can give them that space to choose, they're so much better set up for success, and they're often better and more loyal clients because they've made that choice versus feeling coerced and forced in ways that just feel icky. So definitely important.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like that's on our theme of our selling podcast episodes we've been doing recently about giving people the choice. I think sometimes we think, in regards to selling in the business, it's, if I present the thing that I have for you to buy, that's a bit horrible. It's like, they've got a choice. They can say no.
Right.
They can unsubscribe or unfollow if they don't like what you're doing. But yeah, we get so hung up on all of these like finer details, aren't we? I think the more and more I look into humans, the more I think we're so messed up.
Totally.
Yeah. We even ended that
true.
podcast episode we've just done before you now going like, how do we even achieve anything with our brains the way they're wired and the overanalyzing and overwhelming ourselves? It's crazy.
Yeah. I always say as adults, we are adolescents in big people's bodies. And
that's true.
The more at peace you can become with the adolescent within, the more confident, the more you can serve people. But, we've all been scarred in early years, just psychologically, emotionally, all sorts of stuff. And we carry those with us without realizing it. And we constantly have a need to be liked. We don't want to make a fool of ourselves. We don't want to be made fun of. We want to fit in, all the things. And when you can get really solid, get grounded on solid footing on who you are and why you exist and how you can add value to the world, come what may. It's all good. I like to say to clients all the time, how do you get to a state of becoming unbotherable? And when you're unbotherable, when feedback or criticism or anything comes your way, or when you're on the motorway and somebody cuts you off, whatever, right? Like whatever arena in your world that you're in, when you can just be unbotherable and not get defensive, not get need to retaliate, not need to justify. But if somebody says something that is critical of you, if you're unbothered, you say, "Oh, tell me more. I'd love to learn what you're seeing." Versus, "That's not true. You have no idea. You don't know my story," and all the things that we do. But the more confident we can be in our own skin, the more that we can love who we see in front of the mirror, the more unbotherable we become. But that's a life journey. There's certain aspects of our lives where it's a little easier than others. And then there's something that gets real close to home and really hits a button that is our deepest insecurity. When that happens, man, knives out, we're ready for battle. And in our personal relationships and business relationships, that happens all the time.
I love unbotherable. Some might call it resilient, but I think
Yeah.
unbotherable is a really good way of doing it, because resilient makes you feel like you're made of stone almost and just have no heart. But unbotherable is like, I'm still a person, I'm still a human, I still have feelings, and I still get, bothered, but not to the point where I feel like I need to react to it and I need to get
Right.
all defensive about it. So, like, in your opinion, then, could you be at that stage where you have support around you, you have mentors, you have coaches, whatever that looks like, to help you get unbotherable? And would you say you can then take your foot off those, like, so you can just walk away from that and still be unbotherable forever? Or would you say it's something you need to keep working on?
The latter,
Yeah.
definitely. I think most things in life, the skill of mastery is really a skill that's acquired line upon line, step by step. And once you've mastered a certain level of a certain attribute, then you're just to the next level of mastery. Otherwise, if you think about it, we'd be done growing once we got to a certain point. You're never done growing. There's always a new variable, there's always a new relationship, there's always something. Otherwise, life would get boring, frankly. And so, yeah, it's really just mastering the art of mastery. It's kind of meta, but that's what it is. It's just like when you study world-class champions at any craft in any field, watch them. They're never just thinking, well, I've arrived. There's always a new thing. There's always something else they can improve, the 1% that they can get better at. And they love the journey. And the best are fueled by more of the abundant mindset of winning versus the fearful and scarcity mindset of losing. But there are people that are fueled by fear of loss and they do well, but it's much more tiring and much more taxing. When you're fueled by the pursuit of growth and development and service of people, the growth journey is really rewarding. When you're fueled by fear and fear of loss, the journey is exhausting and you can't sustain that long term.
Yeah. And I imagine it's a slower process as well with the latter.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering so when like you're starting out in business or you're relatively early doors, so maybe you've only got like a few years under your belt in it and you're still trying to figure things out. So like these early solopreneur days where, I keep hearing solopreneur. I've never ever used that word.
Not me.
Ever.
It's a thing.
But it seems to be a thing now.
Yeah.
Little one-man band thing. And you've got this mentality that you need to almost graft, I suppose. So like going back to what we were saying earlier on about, do you put everything into like building and growing that business with the idea of the promise that it's suddenly going to give you everything you need and all this time back? Because I think I don't know how feasible it is. And maybe this says a lot about my personality. I don't know how feasible it is to go in knowing you want that. Maybe not knowing you want that balance, because I feel like we all want that. We all want to go like that say-do ratio. I love that, by the way. I'm nicking that. How to, like, we want that home life. We want the friends, we want the family, and we want the business to work, whether that's, again, like it's your version of success of that business. But I don't think we're armed with the skill set from school or however to go, how do you manage to do both then? Because if I don't put the time and the effort into the business and to try and learn something that I have no idea what to do, then that's not going to work very well. And then likewise, if I put all my energy and attention over here, then the business isn't going to have a chance to grow either.
Right.
So is there like a period of time where, I don't know, like you have to, or the weights are slightly tipped in one direction or more?
For sure. Yeah. In fact, that's why I don't like the term work-life balance. It's never in balance. There's always one or the other that is pulling you. If you're in startup mode, you're not balanced at home, and there's a lot of issues. If say like what happened with me 2 weeks ago, one of my sons had to go to hospital, and we had a really scary. He had an anaphylactic shock, reaction to medication and almost died. I mean, that was very traumatic. You better believe that that morning I did nothing with work, right? I was in the hospital with him, making sure that he was going to live. And what it is creating this relationship of harmony. When we can find harmony, and the analogy I like to use with it is, I love music and I love singing, and I love singing in groups with multiple parts where harmony is just, you know what I'm talking about, where you just hit great parts and go, wow, and the hair stands up at the back of your neck. In order for that chord to really strike and hit well, everybody needs to know their part, or in both in timing and in pitch, so that the chord is, sung or played by design. So if you extrapolate that analogy to our lives and our businesses, every part on that sheet of music is a facet of our life. So there's work life, that's one part. There's home life, that's another part. There's physical, there's spiritual, there's financial, whatever parts of yourself that are important to you, that's the music that you have. And if you don't communicate that sheet of music to all parts in your life, you're going to be sharp and flat and off cadence, and it's not going to work, because there are just times where you can't be in balance. It just is impossible. It's why we're always frustrated, because it's like, well, it feels like I can just never do it right. Right. Because you're trying to do 50-50, and it just doesn't work that way. So yes, there are times and seasons when more is needed in the business and more is needed at home. But as long as all parts are aware of that and are on the same page, literally, and are in communication, it works. So last week as I said, I was surfing last week and did a couple business things while I did that. And I had leading up to that, a couple weeks before, let my kids and my wife know, here's where I'm going to be, here's what that looks like. Instead of just the day of, okay, I'm gone for a few days, it's like that shock to the system. It's like, wait, I needed you to do this, and now what am I going to do? No, because we had planned well in advance and we communicated on the same sheet of music. It went off great, worked out well. And I then came back and put more time in family, and all good. So learning how to strike the balance away and say it's not balance, it's harmony. And then figure out, what are the parts of my life and with whom do I need to communicate so that they know their part and I know my part. Then we can create beautiful music together, and it's awesome. Now, it's not perfect, right? There are times where that's difficult and you forget to communicate something, or there was a misunderstanding. But overall, I've found that way of operating is so much more sustainable, so much more healthy, and so much more prone to both parts of our lives succeeding. But it takes discipline. It takes foresight. You've got to be a good communicator, and you have to be thinking ahead. Those that are chaotic and ill-planned, people that are listening to this that know who you are, going, that's great in theory, but I don't even know what I'm doing in the next hour, let alone the next week. So how do you expect me to do that, right? And so that's where I would say, find someone, maybe a VA or someone who's a little bit more organized, that can keep you on track. Just know yourself and surround yourself with people that are the yin to your yang and can help you and support you.
Yeah. And I think communication is the key thing there, isn't it? And for me, definitely in those early days where I was talking about before with my husband, I wasn't openly communicating well enough. And the reason for it was because I didn't know what was happening myself,
Right.
let alone trying to communicate
Totally.
it. Day to day was just like craziness for us. And, like Joe was used to more of that kind of world and way of working.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, what the?
Right.
This is so alien to me, and like takes me a little while to catch up anyway. But I was like, geez, this is like really different for me. So of course, probably some of it was down to my own fault of going like, what's in my head is in his head. No, it isn't. How is he supposed to know what I'm thinking? No clue.
Right.
And then part of it is down to like, I don't know what's happening day to day. Now we're in a much better place, and there is more of a routine around what we do and how much time is spent in the business, working on it, working in it, and all of that is much more clear. So I'm able to do more of that. But I get in those early days where the business is just kind of growing, like, how do you even, like, from your own experience then, what from personal experience with you and your wife and your family, like, can you share any kind of insights into how that kind of bumpy journey was for you?
You bet. Boy, there's many stories of how bumpy. So much so that that's why I do what I do, to help people not do what I did. It's easier said than done. And so when I was helping grow and start a software company, I was my brother was the CEO and my best friend was the co-founder. And so I already had to be careful about nepotism and about favoritism and so forth. And because my last name was the same last name as the CEO, I had this need to prove myself, right? I had this innate inner desire to go, if anyone has any doubt of why I'm here, I'm just going to let my results speak very loudly for themselves that there's no doubt. It has nothing to do with the last name and everything to do with I perform and I build and I create value. And so in starting, I knew that this was kind of what needed to happen, but I took it too far. My own insecurity and my own perception of what people thought fueled me. And I said, I'm just going to put my head down. And I told my wife, I was like, okay, Sherry, for these several months, I just need to prove myself and it'll be long hours. And she thought, okay. And we had just moved from another state. So there was a lot of chaos going on. We were both trying to figure out life. And we had two young kids with one on the way. So she was pregnant and it was hot outside. I mean, it was just perfect storm. And I was working first there in the office, last to leave every day, and was consumed and was bringing in the results. But in so doing, was just not present at home until one day I came home to nobody. I kid you not, nobody. And I was like, maybe they're out for dinner. And I was like, that's kind of late for dinner. And my kids are young, they'd be asleep by now. And so I text her, nothing. I call her, nothing. Finally, a couple of hours later, she finally responds to like my fifth call and say, "Hey, are you okay?" Yeah, quick, quick. Yes means no.
That is a woman, no. Yeah.
Right. And I knew right away. Oh no. And and I said, "Are you coming back?" No. Do you want to tell me where you're at? Nope. This is before you could track your phone, right? So I didn't know who she was. And I thought, well, do you want to talk? Nope. Okay. So we hung up and I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble. This is not good. A mom with two young kids and a baby on the way with a dad that's been very consumed with work, bad combination. So finally, a few hours later, we connect. Maybe it felt like a few hours. I don't know. Maybe it was an hour. And she says, I'm not coming back. I took the kids, and I said, yeah, well, I see that. She said, I'm going to Disneyland. We used to live near Disneyland, and so she's like, I'm going back. Good weather, the kids love it, and I need all the help I can get, and you're not giving any. So, and I said, okay, can I join you? No. I was like, do you know when you're going to come back? No. Are you going to come back? I don't know. So it got to that, right? And I just thought, in my desire to prove myself and in my own ego and insecurity, I lost sight of what mattered most. And, in hindsight, oh, why would you do that? But when you're in it, like you said, Vicky, before, it's coming at you so fast. There's so many new variables and so many, it's consuming and scary and frightening and exhilarating. That's the other thing. There's a part of it that's exciting and a bit addicting, if we're honest. And I got trapped up in all of that. The drug of insecurity and the drug of accomplishment and winning are real. They're very, very real. And I was hooked on those drugs, and I had to figure out a way to wean myself off and find a different way to give myself the value and the importance that my ego needed that wasn't at the expense of my family. See, and then it's the pendulum swing of, okay, so now I need to put the business on pause and be present. Again, back to the binary thinking. That doesn't work either. And so what it required is deeper, more real, more vulnerable, more powerful conversations with Sherry, where I just had to share with her my fears and my insecurities and my thoughts of the pressure I felt of making sure that the performance that I showed up and provided at work negated any doubts or thoughts in people's minds that it was connected to, that my existence there was connected to my family relationship. And I think she understood that somewhat, but until I pulled out that sheet of music and really communicated, then she understood, and we were able to find a way to create harmony. But I had to let go of my own ego of saying that, that wasn't scary to me, but it was. And once she understood that, she had a little bit more understanding. That doesn't mean that, okay, now keep working the same hours. I had to figure out how to be more present when I was at home, but it began a journey of getting on the same page, but it was painful and scary. It was super scary. Thinking, man, all the kids are gone and all the stuff and their clothes are gone, and I just gave it an empty feeling of, oh no, I love them way more than anybody else, and I'm not going to lose them. But my own poor, foolish behavior was going down that path, and I was like, "Ooh, course correct. We are not doing that. Not going to do that. And I'm going to build a successful business. How do I do both? That's the trick. Not easy, but it can be done."
Yeah, it's
the rug pulled from under you, literally.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because I think, again, like we're shown so many different versions of what you think you should be doing. And I think your own experiences of your own life. So like for me, I started in a very high pressure ad agency world from age 17.
Wow.
At age 18, I was managing a team of 5 in like late 30s plus. And for like 13, 14 years, I was doing like 60 to 80 hour weeks, high pressure. I think I just lived off of cortisol pumping through my body. But it shaped me into who I am now, in that I can cope with a lot. And then I've definitely felt that pendulum swing more since I had my kids. We home educate, and it's that pull of like, right, we're now growing Canine Business Academy. We're busy. We're doing all this stuff. We're writing a book. We're doing a podcast. It's like, sorry, not overly present. We did have the conversation of like that communication was there, but it was hard on all of us, because then I was like, actually, I'm missing seeing the kids. However, I know if I don't do this now, so this season, and I think we knew it was a season as well. It's like we knew if we got this stuff done, it was very intentional. We wouldn't take our foot off the gas, but that pressure would just ease off a little bit. And then I think we both then pendulum swung the complete opposite and went,
Totally.
Oh, we feel really bad now that we haven't been present. And, it was causing a little bit of a rift between our husbands and stuff. And then the one thing that I'm actually really proud of for me is that I genuinely don't think my kids felt any of it. I think I was so present for them.
Your poor husband.
Darren got shut to one side. I was like, so I've got too many people pulling me in different directions. Like, sorry, Darren, you've had me for like 12 years. You can do one and just be put in a box over there for the moment. And let me just concentrate on the kids and me and Vicky, and like everything was just there. But yeah, I think that communication bit it's so important, because life will pull you in all these different directions. But I think the pressures we put on ourselves, and you try and, I don't think you knowingly realize you're doing it, but you compare yourself to others all the time.
Totally.
Then I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but I would definitely compare like mine and Darren's relationship to Vicky and Gareth's and go like, oh, well, you're really close. Like me and Darren don't have that. And I was like, oh, and maybe this is a right or wrong thing, but it's like, we've got 2 young kids. We've got a 4 and a 5-year-old. Vicky has no kids. It's like the priorities are different, and the time difference and all of this. But that comparison is really difficult.
And Brutal. Then me feeling the guilt of going like, I've got more time and I've got more availability to my husband because I haven't got these kids in the way.
Yeah.
And like now I feel bad that I've got more time. Right. And this kind of push and pull. But actually for us as business partners, it's been really interesting we lean into our strengths and weaknesses, or like not into our weaknesses, but we recognize them. And now actually for us, Joe is ridiculously like good at getting up in I would say the middle of the night, I'm going to call it, because it's like 3 a.m. kind of wake up thing. And there's no way that is literally the middle of the night for me. She will get up really early, do client calls, because we've got clients all over the world now. So she'll be doing like a Thailand call at 3 a.m. and I'm fast asleep. And then I will do like the chunk of the middle of the day. She's sorting the kids out, and then you might do evening calls as well. So for us, we've actually gone, this is how this is going to get that like balanced dance, like singing the same hymn sheet, all the stuff, because you do that bit which works for your life, I'll do this bit which works for my life, and then we get everything done and it works really well.
So good.
So yeah, it's very almost good. Like a relationship in itself, this part of it, plus we've got our home lives. So yeah. But it's taken a lot to get there.
Yeah. There are two laws that I find helpful. And for those that are listening, you can Google these. You've probably heard of them, but when you pair them together, it's super powerful. One is Pareto's law, or Pareto's principle, however you want to say it. It's the 80-20 rule. It's knowing what 20% of the work that I do moves 80% of the work in the business moving forward. It's the most effective, most efficient things that you do that really have an impact. Because often we get seduced by being busy. And being busy makes us feel productive, but busyness and productiveness are not synonymous. But often our brains and our egos don't know the difference. And so it's really critical in your business to know what is the 20% of the work that we do that drives the business forward 80% of the way. That is critical, number one. And then you pair that with Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law, in essence, says that we can get as much work done in the amount of time we allocate to that job. So sometime, some way down the road, somebody said a normal workday gets done 9 to 5, roughly, 10 to 4. That's when real work gets done. So what do? We fill our work with that window of time. But when you say, that's not my window, I have this much time to get this work done, it's amazing what our brains can do to get tons of work done. Classic example, when you're not exhausted after a trip and you're on a plane flight and you have 2 hours and you only have 2 hours, when your energy is there, because sometimes if it's not, you're done. That's a different energy or different law. But when you have it and you have that window, it's remarkable what you get done in that amount of time. Why? Because it's time blocked in the Parkinson's law. So when you can combine those two laws together, and then you marry it with this principle we're talking about of work-life harmony, that is how you're more present. That is how you're way more effective. But it requires some discipline of thought and discipline of strategy to recognize, what is that 20%? And what is my time block? And how do I be disciplined to make sure that I actually get that done versus letting all the distractions come at me, which happens all the time. But, working 80 hours a week often is just a manifestation of poor self-discipline and poor time management. That's all it is. And or a very fear-induced boss who thinks that that's what real work is, right? And that's just kind of how we're raised professionally often. And there are way more effective ways to do it, for sure. Now, there might be seasons where we need to work 80 hours, but that's ideally the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and it almost could be worn as a badge of honor, can't it? If you have got that boss that's like whipping, it's like, I can work 60 to 80 hours a week. So it almost might feel like, or it might have felt for you, like that's a really good achievement for me to be able to work 60 to 80 hours a week.
Oh yeah, it definitely became a thing for me that I was like, oh, if I got in the office at, like, it started, I would be in the office at 7 because you don't need to be in there at 9. I was like, I'm doing the better thing for everybody here. And I was like, huh. And then it kept getting earlier. So I'd actually be in the office at like 5 a.m. and sometimes not leaving till 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And so I had this realization a few years ago, actually, because I've been out of that world now for like 8 years. And I'm like, oh, this is what life is like outside of ad agency. I was like, oh, hello. Yeah. I'm going to have a conversation with you and you're not effing and blinding at me that a poster hasn't been delivered on time.
Right.
But it's weird kind of what you get used to, I suppose, and just going.
Totally.
Yeah,
it's an ego.
Use it all.
It's an ego addiction. and we don't realize it, but it's what gives us value. It's what helps us know that we're enough. And then we get reinforcement by receiving more of that work and sometimes some praise and accolades. But think about it, when you're going into a public setting, there's an air about some people that when they're on their cell phone on a call, a really important call, there's inside their own psyche, there's a I'm important message that's going on.
Mm.
And the more that we get seduced by that kind of thinking, the more we continue to find ways to fill our time to be busy and look like we know what it's like. And that's our own relationship with time. The more I just don't have enough time in the day, there's just so much to do. It's almost said like, oh, I'm just so important. There's an air about it that's just kind of a bit martyr, but also kind of I'm a champion because people come to me, and versus just having a completely different relationship with time, having a completely different relationship with achievement and accomplishment, and recognizing that's not true peace and that's not true power. But it's definitely a counterfeit and makes us look real cool for those that think that the more that you train and see, the more you start to recognize all the counterfeit. And now everyone that's listening, I invite you to be mindful of how you show up and be mindful of how others show up in certain business settings and which ones are wearing the badge of honor of busyness and how it props up their ego. And you'll start to see it over and over and over. All that is just a great sign that we're insecure. It's all it is. And we overcompensate for some type of insecurity that we hope nobody else finds out. You're botherable. But when you're unbotherable, you don't have to put on the facade. You don't have to put on the show. You can just do great work and follow those two key laws, Pareto's law and Parkinson's law, and be super effective. And you don't have to work 80 hours. Just be super effective at it. Time block. So I know it's easier said than done, but you can do it, but you got to say it first. It's fun stuff. It's a good journey.
Yeah. The time blocking bit's quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
It's and again, I think we're so conditioned into, like, I'm finding it really interesting doing this like self-directed learning journey with the kids, because my niece and nephew are at school and my sister's a school teacher, and it's very much, between the hours of like 9 and 3 you are in learning mode, then you're in like wraparound services whilst parents get back and they've got to finish their time block of work, and then you're into another time block of, look, it's dinner time now and it's this and it's that. Whereas we're just like so much more free going. And I think this is where people really struggle when they hear that I am up at like 3 or 4 a.m. I'm like, it kind of worked. I had to condition myself to do it, but it was my choice of, I want to spend time with the kids. That's my version of that say do. I know there's loads of people screaming at me going like, no, you should like be asleep at that time. Like, I know, I agree with you, believe it or not. However, I'm in this season of my life where I want to have it all. Like, I want to be with the kids. I want to spend time with everybody. What are you pulling that face?
I've got a story, right? Right. She says, I want to be asleep and in bed, right? So as you know, we've just done our conference. The morning after, so the night of the conference, it finished. And I said, no getting up. We're sharing a hotel room. No getting up at stupid o'clock of the morning and getting on your laptop. She's like, okay, what time? And I was like, 1 minute past 7 a.m. You're allowed to do something and get up. And she's like, okay. So the morning the morning after the conference, she's obviously always up before me. I like stir and I look over and she's, what were you doing? Like on your phone,
my phone,
doing things. She's already ticked a load of things off. And she's like, I've been awake since 4 a.m. or 5
Even my body clock's there now.
And anyway, she's going like, So I woke up and I had you in my head going like 1 minute past 7. I can't do anything. I can't do anything. And it's absolutely killing her. Right. And there's another layer to this story because she'd normally be on her laptop. So she's on her phone. And I think, well, that's weird because where's her laptop? When we've been packing everything away, her laptop accidentally got put in her sister's car and she didn't have it. So she was like this, like a drug addict coming off like the drugs. Like she's like, so I even tried to get your laptop out because my laptop was on the side. And she's like, and I even tried to get into your laptop, but the password, I didn't know what the password was and I couldn't get in. So can I have it, please? And I was like, no, you're not having it. She was like, what? I was like, no, you're not having it. And I turned over and was laughing to myself going like, I'm going to give it to her. I am going to give it to her. I was like, no. She's like, what do you mean no? What do you mean no? And it was killing her. So when she says she wants to be an air quote normal human being, does she?
in my head, this is that time blocking thing. Like I knew I dedicated the entire day, the afternoon then, to being with the kids, being fully present, having the evening. I promised them like a movie night in bed and we get some popcorn and stuff. I was like, but there was a few things that needed doing. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to do those before I see the kids so that I can be fully present. And I couldn't do it. I was like, where's my laptop?
But I just ran with this because I know exactly it would have been absolutely killing her and I knew it. And I was like, yes, I've got the power.
Far too much fun.
I love it. I love
it. That little story.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
That's a great story.
I thought so.
That's funny. That's funny. You know what you did, Joe, part of what I heard, a principle I like to do to keep the work-life harmony going is a principle called bookends. That before a big thing at work is happening and after, I block in these bookends with my family. So like if I'm going to be gone for a few days, I like to make sure that the day before I leave, we have a really good something planned. Time together, a really meaningful meal, an adventure, something. And then we go, and then I go, I should say, and then I come back, same thing. I bookend so that when I'm back, there's really good, concentrated quality time that just helps the absence not be as painful and not be as challenging. And so for Sherry, it's different where it might be some extra service or extra errands or things to just help her, given that she's been running around. And when my kids were younger, that was way more critical for them. And now that they're older, it's still helpful. And I do it, but in ways that they don't really realize what I'm doing. But I love that principle. It's helped to just minimize the subconscious thought that they're second, that they're not as important. And when I can book in that, it just helps them be a little bit more fluid with me and feel and know that they are important and they know that I do love them. But love is spelled with Time. And if you are not there, you say that you love them, but you're not there. It's really hard for people, especially kids, to feel that they're loved when you're not there at time, right? So, the beauty of all this. So easy. Just kidding. Not. It's not. I was waiting for you to say after your event that you were knackered. That's another one that I love.
Well, yeah,
we were a little bit knackered.
We were knackered, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Jeff. Maybe you've not heard of our other phrase then. So we have a saying in K9 Business Academy. I feel like we need to actually send you, when you're over in the next few months, like remind me and we'll bring you a little gift.
All right.
Our phrase.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Our phrase at CBA is no more scratting.
What's that?
So define a scratter.
I was a scratter. So a scratter is having no strategy, first of all, but like scratting about for any bit of money and taking on any client and just diluting everything you do. Like I offered so many different services and I'm scratting for all that bit of money and yeah, that's it.
Like literally, I feel like his name is Scratting Ice Age. You know the weird little rat squirrel thing?
Eh?
That?
Yeah.
A scratter. Yes, see?
Rat squirrel thing?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It is.
But yeah, no more scratching.
I like it.
Yeah.
I learned a new one. That's great. But it's true. We definitely have a tendency as business owners to do that when you're trying to survive, trying to make it work, you'll take on anything. If someone was willing to pay, then the answer is yes, regardless of whether or not they're my target client, regardless of whether or not I can serve them well. If they'll pay, yeah, I'll do business with you for sure. Yeah, and if that lasts too long, that is not a business. That is literally a drug of survival, to just hope that, one day to the next you can actually have enough to make ends meet. All scarcity, all fear. That's just not it. But again, easier said than done. That's when you're trying to pay bills and trying to make things work, right? We've all been in those stages for sure. Definitely been there. I learned over time how to hone in my target audience and make sure that I had discipline to who to say yes to, who to say no to. I talked about I get to cherry pick my clients. Well, now I do, but starting out, I didn't. It's like I didn't have a business. I didn't have any business being in business, and so my ego told me when I was insecure, and I just had to go figure it out and scrat about.
Yay! That's it. You got to use it now. You got to use it.
How do you think then people can move and transition into scratting to being more purposeful? Because there are certain types of people that I feel do that as a natural progression. And then there are those people that are just so stuck in like you say, like that insecurity of just going like, I'm literally just living paycheck to paycheck and I don't know how to get out of this cycle. And maybe I don't want to, I don't know. But how do you feel like people can transition into that?
Man, that's a good question. I'd say it's three things. The first, I've never quite had this question like this, and it was really cool as you started talking. And I looked, literally, my brain did this, and here are the three things that came after almost 3 decades of doing this. Number one, get really clear on your why, on your purpose. And Joe, for you, you're able to wake up at 3 because you're clear that you want to be a great mom, right? And that gives you extra fuel, extra tenacity, extra focus, all things that enable you to do that. So find what your why is. Why are you in business? What makes you tick? What fuels you? What good are you bringing to the world? That's anchoring and that's strong, but it's not enough. Then there's a mindset component around your value, around your worth, around your identity. Because if you're not strong and confident in that, you will literally say yes to anything, to either please, to placate, to avoid conflict, to feel like you're enough. And so having a really good sense of purpose plus mindset is powerful. Then when you have that, then it comes down to a really great strategy. And all strategy is, when people hear that word, they think, oh, that's so advanced. It's not advanced. We overcomplicate it. All strategy is what am I really good at doing that I can do better than anyone else in the world, so that I know what to say yes to and what I know to say no to. That's it. It just gives you the ability to say, this is what I do. I play in this lane and I don't dabble in these other lanes because I'm great at it. But see, if your mindset's off, you don't have the discipline to do that. If your purpose is off, you don't know what it is you're doing, and you just go by anything that just, any wind that blows, you take it, you go. But if you have clear purpose, great mindset, great strategy, that enables us to let go of the scarcity and the fear and no longer need to be scratching about. You can just get clear and go, no, I'm doing this. This is why I do it. I know my value. I know what I can provide. My mindset's in a good place. I don't have to be a people pleaser. I don't have to discount my prices. All that comes down to mindset and how you view yourself. And I'm really good at this. And that strategy is, I'm good at this for these people, and I'm going to stay laser focused on that. That's how you start to get traction. But if you don't have those first two steps, that strategy doesn't last because you get too insecure and too fearful. It's scary. It's not easy stuff.
I'm so glad you said all of that, because I feel like we're on the right track with how we help people.
Yes.
Validation from Jeff.
No, it was what's his name? Is it Simon Sinek who wrote that book?
Yes.
Start with Why.
Yeah. Start with Why.
Brilliant. It's just brilliant, because I think we've talked about this over the years of, we feel like there's two types of business owner. You've got the business owner that is, I'm going to say they're comfortable in in Scratsville. They're they're comfortable knowing
That's great.
It's a town now.
Yeah, it's a town. This is my place. This is my people. Sounds like a freaking nursery rhyme now. This is a church and this is a steeple. Oh dear.
I just need a balloon model to go in it.
My brain, I tell you, it's a wondrous thing up here. So yes, over in Scratsville, where people are just doing their thing and they're going, I'm just making money. I don't feel like I've got a big purpose. I haven't got a why. I just like my purpose is actually to just bring cash in and survive. And I think quite a lot of business owners will fall into that category and be okay with it. Like arguably you could put several employee type roles in that and going, do you know what? There's no real purpose to your job. You enjoy it enough. It's secure. It's safe. It's all of that. Yeah. And then on like, I feel like I need another town name now for like Entrepreneurville, but it doesn't have the same kind of ring to it. And then you've got the business owners over here, which are, like Vicky and I will put ourselves in this category of, we have got that strong purpose. Not only have we got that strong purpose for our personal lives, like with our families and friends and what have you, but for the business and the bigger purpose around what we want this business to stand for, so that we can really help as many people as we possibly can. And by having that purpose for the business, I genuinely believe that's the starting point. That's almost like the launch button that somebody can push to go, right, now you're going to go far, because now it's just figuring out what, like that, we use that sat nav GPS analogy of like, you now know the postcode that you're putting in to know how to get there. And it's just figuring out the steps. But I mean, do you feel the same, that you've got those two different types of business owner?
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And those that really have figured out their own mindset head trash are the ones that can get to that second camp. But if you don't clean up the rubbish upstairs, you're constantly in Scratsville. There's always something that gets you there, and you got to move past that. And that's where being in peer groups, that's where being with mentors and coaches can be so helpful, to help you realize the negative stories you tell yourself that just aren't helpful and aren't true, and get us in our own way. And often it's how we were raised, either personally or professionally or both. And learning how to unlearn is often part of it, to get to that place of more purpose and clarity and power. But man, it's a journey. It is. And some it's easier than others, but everybody can do it. It's whether or not they want to put in the work consistently over time to do it. And that's not for the faint of heart.
I often have this thing about, would I like to have known what I was entering into with this business thing?
With the cult.
With the cult. So when I joined Expert Empires, Nick James, 2 years ago, I don't know, probably a bit over that, it hit me like a train. I was literally, I thought I was here for business stuff. I'm really not. It's all this. And would I like to have known it? Would I have done it if I'd have known what I was going to go through? I might have run a mile. I don't know. And I wonder the same about our clients, because they have no idea, I think, half the time what hits them when they come into our world.
100%. Yeah. Literally, when we're growing a business, it is impossible for the business to grow faster than the business owner is able and willing. We are the growth inhibitor or enabler to our business, period. Full stop. But often we don't want to face that. That's hard. That brings up lots of baggage. And it's a lot easier to point fingers at the market conditions or tariffs or COVID or whatever.
Political things,
legitimate things that are real, but not as real as we like to make them out to be, as far as why our business isn't growing. Our business isn't growing because we're not able to confidently point our finger at ourselves. And instead, it's always something else. So yeah, anytime I do a keynote with CEOs and business owners around the world, one of the questions that I ask is, what is the greatest asset or inhibitor to the business? And, people kind of go through it, and the answer is you. You're it.
Yeah.
And we get in our own way all the time. We just do. And so I say a lot, people will say, what do you think is the single greatest leadership characteristic a business owner can have? Is it vision? Is it an ability to retain and attract great talent? Like, what is it? And my answer, and I'd be willing to debate this with anybody, is self-awareness. When we can really, truly see ourselves, and not the way we want to be seen, not the way we think we're seen, but really how we are seen and how we show up, then the more that we do that, we start working and turning inward and go, okay, I want to work on that. I want to change that. I want to make that happen. But it's coupled with humility. See, it's not self-awareness with ego, because then I'm doing all these things to make sure I still put on the facade to look good. It's humility to own my strengths and own my weaknesses and be unbotherable about both. When you pair self-awareness and humility, you're unstoppable as a leader. And often people hear humility and they equate that to weakness, and being, not a really courageous leader is humble. They can recognize where they've made a mistake and they can get better. They get out of their own way. Somebody who's prideful and says, no, it's not me, there's always something in the way because they're not able to actually face the music on what the real root of the issue is. And it's us. We're the problem. It's pretty fun to see and go through, and sometimes demoralizing and sad and frustrating. Just depends on the mood that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that I had a growth mindset before I started doing all this work on myself. I didn't think I was in my own way, but my God, like there was a lot of work to do. And that is
Totally.
me who thought that I was that, and I think other people might have perceived that same, I don't know, that have that same perception of me. And then when you see people who are clearly like closed in so many ways, you then realize how much work they've got to do on themselves.
Totally.
And it's a whole nother level, isn't it?
Yeah. The more you study it, the more you see it. Right.
Yeah.
And you see those that have really done the work, and you can't help but go, oh, tell me more. Like, tell me your journey. Because even the language people use, you can hear like simple things like, man, you just made me so mad that da, 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 da. That's what victims will say. What owners and champions of their mind and their energy say are, man, I allowed that to make me so mad. Big difference.
Yeah.
It made me so mad. No, I allowed something to make me mad. Simple, subtle, but very, very, very different in how we show up in the world. And as a coach, what I do is listen for what's not being said. And often, people will say things and they out themselves all the time by what words they use. It's very clear. And the more I study it and the more I listen and observe, the more I go, oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. For example, I'm coaching a CEO who's frustrated with their executive team and just feels like it's just not there, and feels like the team doesn't quite give the CEO the credit they deserve. And the CEO will say in my coaching session, it's not like I need anyone to say that I'm doing a good job. What's he saying? I need them to acknowledge I'm doing a good job sometimes. It's not that I'm bothered that they're doing this. It's just that I'm bothered. Like we do it all the time. We do it all the time. And it's just fun. Like start to study yourself when you say certain things. And when we say, I don't need to be a distraction or anything. I don't need to go on a tangent or anything. I don't need to be rude or anything. Not to be rude, but I realize I'm going to be rude, and I just kind of need to give myself a little bit of caveat so that I didn't look like too much of a jerk. But, I'm going to be rude. We do it all the time.
Excusing ourselves
all the time. Yep. We do it.
The joys of being a human.
Yeah. Back to how we started.
We get corrected. I think we might have got corrected by Matt yesterday. We do all the time, don't we?
Yeah. It's I do love it though. And I think I love that being humble and being really self-aware. And I genuinely hope it's something that even our clients can recognize in us, because I mean, one of our values is that we're always going to be raw and real and just probably share a little bit too much, but it's that whole, we want to feel like we can give people permission to be unapologetically themselves. Like it's something that we wholeheartedly believe in, and something that was actually really hard for us to go through earlier this year, but was also quite nice in a weird backwards way. We got called out by one of our clients in going, I felt like you guys potentially got a little bit too big for your boots and a bit too ego. And we were like, yeah, it was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's really hard to hear. And we just owned it. We was like, do you know what? It's never our intention. I'm genuinely really sorry that you felt that way, but I'll own it. Like, because even though it was not our intention and I couldn't, it wasn't mentioned exactly what it was that we did, but I was like, I'll own it, because I was feeling a little bit off as well. Don't know what we did. I apologize. Let's own it. And she's like, do more of that. Like be more vulnerable yourself, because that allows us to be vulnerable back. And I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
Good learning.
It's great. Yeah, it is. It's very good. Yeah. It's good if we want to grow, we have to be ready for the feedback. Yeah. We want to be better at anything. We have to actually show up. And a question I'll ask my kids and my wife on occasion is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing as your dad or as your husband? And if I'm going to ask that question, I better be ready for the answer.
Yeah.
Because if I get defensive, if I justify, if I rationalize, that question's never going to be asked again. Well, it could be asked again, but it's not going to be a truthful answer, right? And so I have to be ready for, okay, how am I showing up? Where I think I might be doing this, but from your perspective, where do I stand? And then get ready to listen and apply and act and change based on feedback. It's just really helpful. And so one time I did it with my daughter, and she was at the time 15, and I said, where am I on that scale? And she said, a 7.5. And I was like, okay, for a 15-year-old daughter, that's pretty good. It's in the positive. And I said, what would it require for me to go from a 7.5 to a 10 for you? And she said, pick up the phone when I call you. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, I text you all the time, but if I call you, that means I need something like urgent. And it frustrates me when you don't answer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would have never known that had I not asked that question. And, we had to have a conversation. I said, got it. I will do everything I can to pick up when I can. There might be times where I'm in a conversation with someone that in that moment, to help them feel fully heard, if I distract and pick up a call, that's not, I don't, that's poor manners. I don't want to do that. And are you okay with that? And so we had to have that conversation, right? But we wouldn't have had that had I been like, well, you don't understand how hard it is to be running a business and then have some kid call, right? Then she'd be shut down, never happening. And it's good to practice what you preach and practice humility and self-awareness. And it's not easy, especially when the feedback is not what you want it to be. It's easy to ask that question when you feel like things are going well. But when things are not going well, that's when the courage comes out to go, so how am I doing?
Yeah.
We've literally just put feedback forms out for our conference attendees.
Yeah.
And each time one comes in, we're like,
right.
We've asked the question.
Seriously.
We need to be prepared for what comes back.
Totally.
And on the whole, I will say it's very positive, but you just want it to be, we're all want it to be the best, don't we, for people? Like,
for sure. Perfect.
Why did they mark us down on that?
Right.
Because we can't please everyone. We're never going to be able to please everyone. And you have to accept that.
But it's easy to use those examples on asking for feedback. Like when you do genuinely want to hear it, to not, like I'm very much a D profile on that disc. So if I hear something, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I need to go fully in and fix that. And then I'm like, oh no, I've just pendulum swung all the way over there. Right. And then I was like, I don't need to do that extreme thing. It's like with my husband, Darren, if I can see that he's getting a little bit stressed because maybe he's had the kids for like 2 days because I've been at an event and I'm doing something, and then he's a little bit frazzled. For example,
hypothetically.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on. Then I go, oh, right, I suddenly need to change my entire work schedule because this clearly isn't working because he's frazzled. And it's an extreme reaction to part of me feeling guilty, part of me thinking like, oh, he thinks that I'm a bad person because I'm not. And again, it's all the stuff that I'm telling myself in my head. Because like he knew I was
Right.
going to an event. He knew like we had the conversation, but it's that guilt manifesting and then going, oh, I now need to flip and change and everything based on that one bit of
Right.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not helpful. Yeah, it's great. This journey of growth and development, it's never ending. As I say all the time, it is a summitless mountain. You never arrive. Building a business and building yourself, you never arrive. And we tell ourselves that I'll arrive when, or I'll success will be happen when. And then you get there and you realize there's another summit, there's another issue, there's another thing you got to do. And it's like, and then people can get demoralized and fatigued and frustrated. But when you flip the script and say, no, I never arrive, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of the journey. And you enjoy it a lot more and you don't get angry at yourself. You just realize there's always room to grow. It's fun.
Yeah, it is
If we've
fun.
stopped, we arrived, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
It is
exactly
fun.
that.
I
It
think
is
it's
fun.
great.
Scariest thing
Yeah.
ever, but the most fun ever as well.
Just like a weird adrenaline junkie. Like it is a full-on roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. Well, a question I'll ask my clients when they're just feeling that when they're in it, just like all the problems, everything going wrong. I say, okay, this is your reality. Got it. Who signed up for this? Did anyone like force you to do this? No, this is my own doing. Okay. Got it. Secondly, do you have a choice to leave the business and do a normal day job, a normal 9 to 5 job, and work for somebody else? Is that choice yours? Yes. Then go take it. No. Well, why? Because I want the freedom. And then they start to look at all the positives and all the great things, but their mind is stuck on all the negatives. So I just like to help shift their thinking of like, you're in choice here. You don't have to do what you're doing. And if you don't want it, and if it's not for you, that's fine. Just be done and go work for somebody else and recognize that has pros and cons to it as well. But what are the pros and cons to what you're doing? And almost always, now every time so far I've done this, the pros far outweigh the cons. They're just letting the cons have a little bit more weight in that moment because they're just tired or frustrated, right? But we're in choice. We've all taken the leap. We're all solopreneurs or business owners doing what we're doing. And when we're honest, we really love it. There are just times where we don't, and that's okay. It's difficult. Everything we do in life has its pro and has its con. But if we focus and allow our brain to really perpetuate the positive, we'll get more of the positive. Whatever we focus on grows. So if you want to keep focusing on where things are broken and not working and you're frustrated, you'll get more of that. The inverse is true as well. So in my office, I have this, you can see it right there. You can't see what it says, but it's the tale of two wolves. And in essence, it's an old chief grandpa with his dad, with his grandson, and says, Grandpa, they're like, why do some people, in essence, why are some people happy and joyful and why are some people not? He said, everybody has two wolves. There's one that's dark and negative and critical and lack of hope. And there's this battle raging between these two wolves in each person. And the other one is light and love and gratitude and abundance. And the grandson said, well, who wins in the battle? And the grandfather says, whichever wolf we feed. That's who wins. It's simple and subtle, but it's like I have it here purposely. And I ask my clients a lot, which wolf is getting fed right now? And it's just a shift of yeah, I am allowing the darkness, the fear, the insecurity to really be more pervasive in my mind. And I have to feed this other wolf. I've got to find ways to feed the other wolf. The white wolf has got to win. The black wolf is going to die. Great. Starve that black wolf. So a lot of times I'll have another thing of starve the black wolf or feed the white wolf, whatever. Just little subtle reminders of, oh yeah, and just get us out of our own head. But my question to everyone listening is, which wolf are you feeding right now in your life? Why? And then how do you change that if you don't want it to be, if you are feeding the black wolf, the dark, lonely, depressed wolf? Don't feed it. It's honestly as simple as that. Simple, but not easy sometimes, but it is simple. It's just a simple shift that we do.
So powerful.
I think that has got to be where we finish today.
Yeah. I'd talk to you all day, Jeff. I love it. But we were lucky that we got to spend like several days with you in Girona.
Yeah, it was,
Girona. I have to sing it.
Thank you
that was
so
amazing.
much. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining
My
us.
pleasure.
If people
Thank
want
you.
to find out more about you, how can they do that?
Good question. Maskprinciples.com is my site. That's my last name, Mask. Mindset, action, spirituality, kindness are the mask principles of my coaching curriculum that I do with clients. LinkedIn, Instagram as well. I sometimes post. Sometimes social media is just, blech. I get tired of it.
Yeah.
But I do have a presence there. People can connect with me there. If you want to email me, you can email me at jeff@maskprinciples.com. I can happy to answer any questions or help in any way that I can. Again, I am an average human being with an above average desire to help people. So if you have something, happy to help. You don't need to pay me anything. I'm just happy to help and do what I can to help you be a better leader and a better human. So reach out.
Love it. Love you, Jeff. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Right back at you. Thank you both. You're awesome. Thank you, John Vicky. Keep doing great things. Keep leading people wonderfully, and keep your balance together, and the harmony you guys have together is awesome. It's really cool that you are the yin to each other's yang, and you're able to help and support each other. It's abundantly clear. It's very cool to see. Well done.
Ah, yeah.
Not really answered the same.
A little hug if I could reach it, but huh? Oh, thanks
It's
again.
great. You bet. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate you all.